Well, hi there, everybody. It's Bob with Coastal Appliances one more time, and today we're out looking at another cooktop. This one is not a GE, but this one is made by Kitchenaid, which is actually a Whirlpool unit. And as is the complaint with most gas cooktops, the ignition system is not really functioning as it should. Some of these igniters are very slow to light, or some are just not lighting at all. And so we're going to be upgrading it with a couple of new parts. Getting into these cooktops is always a challenge. Everybody makes theirs a little bit differently, and the method of getting down into the guts of the machine is always just a little bit different. And believe me, I've seen a lot of different ways to do this, and this is unfortunately the only way that you can do it on a Kitchenaid. Got to turn the unit upside down and then start removing all of the screws. Once all the screws are out of place, then you have to take a screwdriver and very carefully pry the glass cooktop away from the metal casing. And I do mean carefully. Okay, we've got the cover off, the bottom cover taken off, and believe me, it was kind of scary getting it off at first. The adhesive that they used to hold the glass to the frame was particularly strong along this side here, and I was really becoming concerned that if I pushed any further I was going to break the glass, but it finally did yield, and so we're lucky for that. We're thankful for that. So the reason we're in here is because we've got a weak spark, ergo this spark module. The unit continues to spark as long as it's plugged in. That means that one of these burner switches is failed and it's not opening, so it's continually providing current to the spark module. And we've got a couple of electrodes that are shorting to ground. That means these little electrodes down in here, I think you can see that one a little bit better. That's the ceramic part that actually produces the spark. So let's delve into this a little bit further. Well, we've identified that we have two bad burner switches on this cooktop. This one and this one. And the only way that we're going to be able to get these off is going to be to disconnect all of the gas lines to this manifold, lift the manifold off, then all of the valves come up with the switches on them. We'll change the switches and put it all back together again. Yes, it is a lot of work. Okay, so before we put the switches back in place, we want to test them, make sure that they're okay. So I've got a new switch in place now, and I'm going to turn the switch slowly, and that brand new switch is good. So we feel confident about putting this one inside the machine. We are now in the process of replacing the damaged electrodes. There's the new one here. There you can see how this comes out. This cooktop burner surface is held inside the cooktop frame by this screw right here. So you remove this screw, the unit drops out, and you can then service it. Then from the top, or from the bottom side, but which is the top right now, you just push it back up inside, resecure the screw, make sure you attach your gas line, put the spark electrode back in, and that's how you do this. So before I reattach the high tension leads to the electrode, I always like to take my pliers, I'm doing it one-handed of course, and I just slightly, ever so slightly, squeeze those contacts so that they're a little bit tighter, and they'll make a much firmer grip on the electrode when I secure it. Quite often a loose connection here can translate to a very weak spark. So I always do that on all of the electrode leads. Do that all the time. Make sure they're tight. Then we're pretty much done inside of here. I hooked up my test box to the unit and tried running the spark igniters. I tried running the spark igniters with the caps on them. These caps, without them, the spark will just go anywhere it really wants to go. But with this cap, it has a very solid place to spark to. So this is the most reliable way that you test the spark system. Put the cap back on temporarily. Okay, I'll cut that one out. It really doesn't need to be much tighter than just about that. Any more than that, you're just making it a lot more trouble for the next technician when he comes by to service it. Don't forget to turn the gas valve back on. Feed the power cord through the wall to where the socket's at. Man, that one's tough to get in there. Come on, get in there, you. There we go. Okay, and then we just lower the unit back in place. Good. Okay, so we'll put the caps back in place. Get this going here. And we're plugged in. We're almost ready to do a test. And let's grab a knob or two and let's see what happens. Let's turn it on. There we go. Took a little while for the gas to get in here. And okay, got one there. And let's see how we're doing here. Okay, remember this is a manual ignition, so as long as the knob is in the light position, the clicking will continue. You have to move the knob off of the light to disengage the spark module. Okay, let's take a look at this one next. That looks pretty good. And there we go. That's working good. And let's try this one. Okay. Okay, so everything appears to be working pretty well. There we go. I think we're all done with this job. put the knobs back on, we'll get out of here. Okay, and so let's take a look at what we've done. Everything's back in place. The spark modules are all working. The unit is no longer clicking on its own, and the burners come on reasonably reliably as you can expect for a cooktop of this quality. Anyway, pretty simple job really, but it's rather protracted. It takes a little bit of time and effort and a bit of understanding to learn how to get to open them up. That's probably the biggest trick about doing these things. Everybody's got a different way of getting down inside of them. So you know what we were talking about when we were doing this video. These are the parts that were defective. One of these switches was not opening, and that's why it would continue to make the thing spark. However, both of these switches, now that I've tested them, are showing extremely high resistance when I close the switch. The resistance should be very low, probably something on the order of just a few ohms, but what this is showing me is maybe 750,000 ohms or more. Pretty typically, the reason that these switches will do that is because over time, fats, oils, greases, cooking oils, all that kind of stuff gets down inside the switch, coats it, and pretty much insulates the contacts, so that really renders them useless. You can't open them up, you can't clean them out. Believe me, I've tried. Soaking them in alcohol, doesn't work. And these are the igniters. This igniter actually is cracked. I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's a crack right there, and that's causing this thing to arc away from the cooking surface, which is not what it's supposed to do. And this one was doing the same thing, although I don't see the crack, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's not there. There is a carbon trail that's leading down to the center electrode, and that's why we've got that thing taken out.